This is TWiT.
So I wanted to talk about Meta using AI bots to, populating things like Instagram and Facebook with AI users. It's a little unsettling, but let's dig into this a little bit. So these reports say that Meta is essentially going to have these profiles with, they have profile pictures and they can generate content and they can share content just like you and I can. But these are, again, AI bots. So it's a little unclear why this is.
There we go. Why?
Just let's really get into the question here. Meta has been tapping into AI a lot lately. They've announced AI Studio, which is a tool that lets people create AI versions of themselves or their favorite characters. People can DM. They pitch this as something where, creators and celebrities can just have their AI persona take care of any common questions that they get. Let's just DM that and it'll respond to you and it'll be just like me, but it's AI, which it's not the same, but it's okay. Don't tell Meta that. This kind of takes things another step. They've also announced something called Movie Gen, which can create videos based off of uploaded images. That's supposed to roll out sometime this year as well. So we know Meta has been tapping into AI, but this is really kind of the next level because the thing that I'm thinking about is we know Instagram competes with TikTok, for example, or even YouTube, for example. Those are the most popular apps among people, younger people. The thing that appeals to a lot of users about TikTok, about YouTube, is that you have personalities, right? You have people who feel real, who share experiences that feel real. You have a lot of fake people too, don't get me wrong. That's all across social media. But the thing that really stands out about TikTok is that relatable, the kind of unfiltered personas that you encounter. The reason Instagram has kind of struggled to compete, I think, is because a lot of the things on Instagram are very, very manufactured, right? You have influencers who have these very polished, inaccessible lives for a lot of us. A lot of unattainable standards are set. And we know that Instagram has realized this and has been like, well, we're going to work now to promote profiles and accounts that maybe, don't have as many followers. If something resonates, then we'll surface it in the same way that TikTok does, right? It doesn't matter how many followers you have. We've yet to see that, but that's what they say, right? So my question then becomes, what is the appeal of then having these AI bots create and share content on a platform like Instagram, for example? Right. What does Meta hope will be gained by that, other than inflating their numbers because they're running out of new users? A lot of us are already on Meta-owned platforms, so they're looking for new ways to, generate revenue and get users. But if the platform already feels fake because of influencers, how is it going to feel because of AI bots? So, Mike, I want to talk to you about this. What do you think the benefits and the drawbacks of this move could be?
It feels exclusively drawback to me, if I'm honest. It's okay, you already have a company that in the past has come under fire for inflating numbers with advertisers. And there was a huge sort of crash, a huge tanking when it came to video posting on Facebook. I remember working at a startup at the time that was a video news company. And we were thinking we were just, making it happen and just soaring through the stratosphere because of the viewership that we were allegedly seeing on the platform. And Facebook at the time was criticized for probably inflating those numbers, or at least sort of obscuring and figuring out ways to make those numbers count when really someone was just scrolling past something quickly. So then there are two aspects here. You've got the side of the business that is all based on advertisers being able to directly target exactly the person that they're going for. So, Senator, we sell ads. And then you also have the side that is, as you're talking about, your daily active users, the people who need to be there to see the videos for the advertisers to want to sell or ads or whatever they happen to be, not just videos. And so it feels like you're going against both sides there. You are you're showing that you do prioritize inauthenticity towards the advertiser side. And then you're also, as you're talking about, showing that you're supporting inauthenticity, which is something that people are in theory, not interested in. I will say this, however, those of us who are I will say the younger generations that are not on Facebook, in particular of the Meta-owned properties,
Right.
probably desire that more.
Yeah.
Based on just, frankly, it is anecdotal, evidence of what you see. Basically, Facebook is like the new chainmail from your great uncle that says that, if you flash your headlights at another car, then they'll run you off the road or whatever, because that's the new thing to do.
Right.
Or kids are eating Drano these days or whatever. You know what I mean? That hide your Drano, lock it behind a cat, whatever. And so I think that those people aren't going to care if it's a real person or not. They may not even think in the first place about it being a real person or not. If it is sharing something or saying something that they support on one side, or that they vehemently do not support on the other side, it's a chance to rail against your personal machine, or a chance to, I guess, put some oil in your favorite machine.
Yeah.
So maybe that's just Facebook leaning into what it has found success in one way, and then also just preparing for a future in which Facebook becomes more human barren, as frankly the folks who are using it start to shuffle off this mortal coil.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a smart thing on their side. But I say that with some anecdotal evidence that suggests that there are some young people, as we've seen in I guess that's not anecdotal. There's research that suggests that some young people are hopping back on that platform. The anecdotal part of it is, for some reason, the one social media platform that my youngest brother uses is Facebook, and it blows my mind. Like, why are you even there? Weird.
Wow.
Anyway, go ahead.
No, that's just, I'm still absorbing that. That's really interesting. That's a good point that you bring up, that there has to be a reason for them to think that this is a good idea, right? There has to be something where it's like, oh, this is good. And not to say that they're always right, because they're not, but
right.
Like what is it that makes them think, oh, we have enough evidence to think that perhaps this could be worth a shot. And Facebook is just a really interesting example now that we talk about it. Like it has lasting power. Like, it's still around, it's still kicking, people still love it, even if those of us are of a demographic that's like, okay, those days are over, but it's still worth something, right? It's not dead. It's far from it. And so it is interesting.
So many users.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's interesting to think how something like this could fare on Facebook versus Instagram, right? It's going to be different, but I don't know. Generative AI is here, right? So it's not like we're not going to have it on these platforms, but I think just explicitly saying there are going to be AI profiles just feels like such a leap, but it also feels like we were headed here anyway, I guess, and there's nothing we can do to avoid it.
Yeah, because if I can add, one of the reasons, right, that people spend their time on these platforms, that they go back to these platforms.
Yeah.
And I will admit to it myself, if I rarely make a post these days, but especially on Instagram, if I post something on Instagram, because I do it so rarely, I have so much fun, frankly, throughout the day, opening up Instagram, looking up at the top, seeing that little red dot appear, seeing how many people have liked it, seeing that people like me and they enjoy what I'm posting. It feels good.
Yeah.
And so if you are regularly getting responses, even if they're coming from fake accounts, you still are getting that boost. True. So maybe it's about increasing those daily active users. But I mean, what are they going to be posting on my posts? I'm a little worried, given like Microsoft Tay of yesteryear. That could get pretty hairy.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious and scared at the same time. But yeah, I mean, these AI is becoming so intelligent that it's like, you see that the interactions and honestly the types of relationships people create with even something like ChatGPT, which is a scary and real thing. And so it is possible that this could be something where it's like, oh, my favorite bot just commented on my post, which is so weird, but it's possible, right?
Beth bot. Oh, I love her.
Right. So, or it's like, oh, so-and-so just watched my story and it's going to be about bots instead of, your crush, your human crush.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a little concerning now that I think about it more and more. But then the other thing too is like, we know that platforms like, Instagram and Facebook and even Twitter, for example, are learning from the things that we've posted publicly, right? And so when we think about that factor, and in case you weren't already freaked out about that, I wonder if all these things put together is going to push certain people to say, okay, I can't do this anymore. I've been trying to cut social media anyway, and this is enough for me to hop. But I also feel like that won't be the case for most people. Like, I would love to be off social media and I would love for it to not be training off of my publicly posted information, but I'm hooked. And so I think even if they lose a few users, they're not going to lose enough to be like, well, let's kill it,
Yeah, exactly. I think it's, again, I think we perhaps on a whole, those of us in tech journalism, overestimate, or it's almost like it's a hope. It's an what is the word? An optimism that people pay more attention than they actually do. And so we overestimate how much attention people are paying to this kind of thing because they've got 50,000 other things to be worried about during the day that they don't turn on their critical brain switch when they are on social media. So it doesn't even get to the point of critically analyzing it to then get to the point to make the choice of, am I going to use this or am I going to leave it because it doesn't make sense to me? Yeah. And if it's something that they've been doing for a long time and they're used to it and it gives them some level of, it doesn't even have to be joy because it can also be anger. Then they'll just keep going back to it regardless of it takes a lot to get we humans from, breaking from habits. And I think that plays a role paired with again, the idea that, if you've got a 9-to-5 job and children and whatever else, you've got to deal with during the day and you don't have the opportunity to spend time thinking critically about it, it's probably just going to fly right over your head or under the radar, depending on which of those you want to use. Now, I did want to mention, Anthony shared in the chat, the Discord chat, a social media or social network that is only AI bots. It's called Chirper AI. I've also seen some where you create your own AI bots for the social media network, and then you can be there and you can see how your AI bot that you created using some kind of, like dials and stuff to say, I want it to be heroic and I want it to be this and I want it to be that, all interact with one another. So there are some, that to me makes a little more, or it makes me feel a little better than having this mix of accounts where you're going into it knowing exactly what it is and that everything here is just weird AI stuff. And they are very, very strange. It gets really weird really quick.
I believe it. I need to check that out. But I agree. I think, we'll be questioning even more what's real and what's not. We'll see if we end up warming up to this. And I really hope I don't.
Yeah, I'm already exhausted trying to think about all the times I'm going to have to go, now, Uncle Ralph, did you look to see that was tagged as an AI bot saying that? Right. It's not real, Uncle Ralph.
Yep. Those are going to be fun conversations. Yep.
Yay, 2025.
Yay, great start. Love starting off the year on this note. Yay.
Thanks so much for watching this little chunk of Tech News Weekly. If you'd like to get the full episode, well, head over to twit.tv/TNW. There you'll find buttons you can click or tap to subscribe to the entire show in audio and video formats. Or just look in the description. We've got links down there as well.